Well, from Europe and the Americas to the Middle East and Africa, 2023 is ending on a rather somber note, to say the least. The images of human pain and suffering can be difficult to watch. Well, war is no laughing matter, but humor and laughter can offer an escape and help us cope with its horrors. It can also unite all of us. For comedians, the current times bring their own set of challenges. Joining us from Las Vegas is my friend Maz Jobrani, comedian, actor, and best-selling author. Maz, so good to have you on my program. I have to begin with asking you how you're doing, how all the stuff that's going on in the world, the heartbreak, the losses, the pictures we see from Ukraine to Gaza, is it difficult to be funny on stage these days?
Yeah, first of all, Asieh, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be on with you. And of course, you know, we're human beings as well. And as a matter of fact, I think a lot of comedians are empaths. And so I feel that we definitely feel and see the pain, and it affects us. And quite often it's hard to say, well, how am I going to be funny when we see what we're seeing in Gaza, what we're seeing in Ukraine, what we saw in Prague just the other day. But I think part of our job is to go on stage and make people laugh about other things, our day-to-day lives. I talk about my family a lot. I talk about what I'm going through a lot. And it's a form of ability to escape for some psychological relief. I think we all need it. I definitely get it. When I go on stage, I was on stage in Seattle just last weekend, and the room was such a great room. I got to perform for an hour in front of this room, and I left feeling energized and feeling like I got rid of some of the darkness that was taking over by watching what we see every day.
So are there days that you have to perform and go on stage and you just tell yourself, oh my goodness, this is going to be really hard. I cannot be funny today. I don't want to face this crowd. What do you do to sort of snap out of it?
Well, I think the number one thing is you definitely don't want to talk about something that's, you know, so tragic on stage. If you're trying to, like I said, bring levity and bring laughter to this audience. I remember when I was actually doing Atlanta one time, and that was the day when there was the school shooting in Newtown in Connecticut. And that night I went on stage and I was doing jokes about my kids, but the shootings had happened to young kids. And there was people in the audience that were crying from me talking about kids. And I realized, oh my gosh, I need to find a way to address this at the top and then encourage everybody that we're here to put positivity in the world. You know, we all know there's so much negativity out there. So our energy is a positive energy. Our energy is love. Our energy is bringing people from different backgrounds together in a room. Our energy is a room where you'll have a Palestinian in a room with a Jewish audience member, and hopefully we can come together and heal as opposed to feeding into what we see all the time with tragedy that's going on in Gaza right now.
And I think one thing that you already mentioned, you use your immigrant experiences, your immigrant upbringing, your Iranian-American family in a lot of those jokes. And I want to play a clip where you're talking about a conversation with your dad and the birds and the bees.
It was a different world. Different world. Parenting was different. Like our parents didn't do like birds and the bees. Josefa, did your Indian dad do? No, didn't even know what it meant. I asked my Persian dad, I go, can you do the birds and the bees? He goes, son, we don't have birds and bees. We have lawyers and doctors. And I hope you be one.
So it's funny how you're not a doctor or a lawyer, and neither am I, and we're both Iranians. Does your family ever tell you enough? We don't want to be the butt of your jokes. Leave us out of your humor. Leave us out of your comic acts.
Asieh, we both know if there's one thing we can laugh at, it's our parents. And then our kids will laugh at us. I mean, you know, I make fun of my parents, but my kids will tell me a lot of times. Now they're like, I'll be driving, and my daughter told me the other day, she goes, I don't like asking you questions, because whenever I ask you a question, you start with a long story and a long answer. And your answer, she says to me, your answers always say, Daddy, you always say, in life. She goes, you start lecturing. So as much as I was making fun of my parents, Now my kids are making fun of me, and it's a beautiful thing. It's a way of showing our love for one another. And originally, like you were saying, I was a disappointment to my parents. They didn't want this. Being a comedian in our community, I may as well have been a drug dealer or something, But my mother came around, and she's become one of my biggest fans, and it's all love. And that's, by the way, one message I do try to put to the world as well is, if your kids find something they love to do, or if there's somebody out there and you found something you love to do, do it.
Yeah.
Don't let your immigrant parents distract you and detract you from doing what you love doing.
That's a very, very good message. And also talk about really two things here: how you have tried to break stereotypes being from Iran, and finally, how you really try to humanize all immigrants.
Well, absolutely. I mean, when I first started doing stand-up comedy, I was a regular at the Comedy Store in Los Angeles. Mitzi Shore, who was the owner of that club, she's Jewish lady. She put a show together with me, an Egyptian-American named Ahmed, a Palestinian-American named Aaron Cater, and she would have us perform. And it was part of trying to show to humanize people from the Middle East. Because the truth is, if you look at Western film and television, for the longest time, we have been dehumanized. And so when you come to a show and you see an Iranian-American telling jokes and you laugh, and we get, and you understand my jokes. You don't have to be from Iran to get my jokes. My jokes are about life, about family, about all that stuff. So when you realize that comedy can be international and we laugh together, it makes you, the viewer, who's used to seeing negative stereotypes of people from the Middle East, you start seeing them in a positive light. So as we know, war dehumanizes people. I think comedy can help humanize people.
Or you know what? On that note, I'm going to leave it there. Maz Jobrani, thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Asieh.